And what is up, everyone? I am Joe DeHoyos. I am the host of Beyond the Woodline. Uh, just real quick, man, you guys have any strange encounters, any strange phenomenon that you want to talk about, man, hit me up. My email is beyond.woodline@gmail.com. And of course, you can find me on Facebook at Joe DeHoyos or Beyond the Woodline on Facebook. Pretty easy guy to find. I'm pretty public. Put myself out there quite a bit. I'd love to hear any of you guys' encounters, experiences, whether they be paranormal, cryptid, UFO, aliens, or anything strange, man. Anything psychic phenomenon, stuff like that. I love hearing stuff like that. Out of body experiences. You guys have any of those encounters, man? Let me know. I'll be happy to hear you out, and I promise I won't think you're too crazy. And with that being said, what's up? That's Javier. He's a good guy. I don't know if you guys know him, but he's a good dude. Um, yeah, with that being said, I have tonight with me Todd and Brian from Cryptid Creatures. How you guys doing?
Good, good. Thanks for
Good,
having us.
man.
Yeah,
Yep.
man, no problem, man. And like we were talking about earlier, I guess this will be kind of a dual kind of interview. So you guys can ask me all the questions you want. I'll answer them to the best of my ability, and I'll definitely answer them honestly, man. I've been fortunate enough to have some weird experiences and some strange experiences myself, and it's good to have this platform to kind of get them out there and have an audience that'll listen to it too. And
Yeah, yeah.
you know, so just real quick, man, what got you guys involved in the cryptid field?
Brian, go first.
Um, yeah. I guess I've been interested in Bigfoot for a long time. I guess since back in when I was a kid, when I saw the Patterson Gimlin film for the first time, is what sparked my interest in that, and I've just been at it, going at it ever since.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same. Saw the Patterson Gimlin film, heard about Bigfoot, but didn't really think much about it. Saw the film, was like, whoa, that's real. That's a real creature. That's not somebody in a suit. And knowing that at a young age, so I'm like, these things have to exist. So go to the library, get every book you can on Bigfoot. You start reading stuff about Loch Ness monster, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and you hear about all these things and you dig into them. So yeah, I've always been interested since I was a kid. Just more and more as I get older, I guess.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing with me. I was always interested since I was I remember like in elementary school checking out the same books. Uh, there's only like two or three books in the library at that time regarding Bigfoot or anything strange. Then I remember getting old enough to actually cut grass and earn some money just so I could buy books. Uh, back when you could go to those much smaller bookstores at the local mall,
Yeah.
and I remember buying this one particular book. It had different chapters. Like one was like on cryptids, one was like on UFO aliens and pyramids, and there was even one about spontaneous human combustion. And I remember seeing that picture of that old lady that just like her leg was left over in that chair. I don't know if you guys remember
Yep,
that picture. Yeah,
I
yeah, that
remember
was
that.
one of my favorite all-time books. I wish I could find that book again.
I think she had a shoe on still, didn't she?
Yeah, yeah, I think she did. Even a stocking, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
old
Weird.
black and white picture. Yeah, but that was always been. I was always into the weird stuff, man, and it just always drew my interest.
Cool.
Yep.
Have you guys ever gone out and did any kind of Bigfoot investigations or cryptid investigations?
Oh yeah,
I
we've
mean,
been
we've
out.
been walking out in the woods, but I wouldn't say official investigations. No.
Right. But we were in the Pacific Northwest,
Right.
Oregon.
Yeah.
So we were in a prime spot where we were walking around. We didn't stay the night, but yeah, we were out looking around. We
Hmm.
were visiting a supposed prior, I don't know if it was an encounter or someone heard something that wasn't
Right.
normal um, in that area. They were camping there. So yeah, we would check that out. And
Hmm.
here and there, when we get out there from time to time
Yeah.
or wherever we can go, we need to get up into Michigan and do that more.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe look for
You
some dog men up there.
guys are actually in a pretty good area for that kind of stuff. I guess really like in a good dogman area, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Actually, we're like pretty much right in the middle of of everything. I mean, we never realized until we started getting into this more that Michigan, Indiana, Ohio is pretty hot.
Yeah, Ohio's a pretty hot spot.
Mhm. Kentucky.
Being here in Texas, it's a lot hotter. As far as hot spot goes, I think it's a pretty hot spot, more than what people think, because we actually have a pretty
Yeah.
good mixture also. Not just Bigfoot, but Dogman, like around between Austin and San Antonio. It's called the Hill Country, and that's actually a big hot spot for Dogman. And we actually have a pretty good history here in Texas. Um, so I'm in Houston, and I've always lived in Houston. After I got a divorce, I actually moved outside of San Antonio for a couple of years, and I moved to a place called Universal City. And bordering Universal City is a place called Converse. When I started working out there, there was a young kid. He came in and he had this Bigfoot shirt, right? And I was like, I'm gonna go talk to the kid and see what's going on with that. And I said, hey man, do you believe in Bigfoot or you just bought the shirt or what? He goes, no man, me and my dad, we love Bigfoot. You know, we watch all the shows and we're really interested in it. I'm like, well, I said, that's pretty cool, man. So I started telling him about what I do, and this is before I had the podcast. But I told him my interest in it, told him a bunch of stories. Man, he loved listening to the stories, right? And he said, well, I got a pretty good story for you. He said, there's a place called Converse. I'm like, yeah, I live right next to that little city, you know. He said, yeah, there was actually a creature called the Converse werewolf. So I looked it up, and it was like from the 1880s, 1890s that a farmer had sent his son out to go hunting, and his son came back early and was like that he saw a monster, and the farmer told him that there's no such thing as monster. Get it back out there and and finish your hunt. Well, the kid never came back. So the next day, he gets a couple of his friends together to go look for his son, and I think it was the next night or early the next morning, they found this big creature that they described as a werewolf punched over his son, eating at his body. Yeah, and that's a story that's verified. You can Google Converse werewolf.
I think I've heard that story before.
Yeah, it's called a Converse werewolf.
Yeah, I have too. Somehow, heard that. Yeah, it's kind of scary because you're out there looking for Bigfoot, and then you see a werewolf, and it's like, whoa, wait a minute, this isn't one I signed up for.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you guys started this or started your own little journey, were you just interested in Bigfoot and discovered Dogman, or was it the other way around?
Well, I would say, we were both interested in Bigfoot,
Right.
Cryptozoology in general, Loch Ness Monster, stuff like that. And we each had our own podcast before we got together and started Cryptid Creatures. But we both knew that we were interested in Bigfoot and started talking about it and had very similar thoughts and ideas and said, well, hey, we're doing podcast. Why don't we get together and do Cryptid Creatures and talk about these things?
Yeah.
Here we are.
It's funny how that came about because we worked together, and we had a place out, and we have a plant out in Oregon that we have to go to every now and then. So it just so happened that we were out there at the same time that time, and we were sitting around talking, and Bigfoot came up, and podcast came up.
Mm-hmm.
So we started talking about it then, and it was just worked out. Pretty wild.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I would say, to answer your question, I would say Bigfoot is probably the primary thing. But yeah, Dogman took off right off the bat pretty much when we started this. I think our second episode was about Dogman.
Yeah.
And then we've had several Dogman encounters, seeing them more and more pop up as we go along.
We're getting more and more of them as we go. It's
kind of concerning to me personally, but I can't stand werewolves.
He's not a big fan of the werewolf.
No.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Yeah. Werewolf is my favorite genre as far as movies goes. That and zombies.
Yeah.
I love zombie stuff, but I'm not a fan of The Walking Dead, believe it or not.
Yeah,
me either.
Yeah.
The movie The Howling, when I was a kid, that movie fascinated and scared the living hell out of me, but I watched it tons of times, always thinking, God, thank God these things are not real. This is just a movie. And
then guess what?
I'm hearing different.
Hey, the American Werewolf in London just scared the hell out of me too.
Mm-hmm.
That was
Still one
pretty
of my
scary.
favorites. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But both of you guys had experiences with Dogman or had an encounter with it?
No, not yet.
No.
No. But
My ex-wife had
one of these days.
a weird thing happen where when we started dating, she had a keychain, and on the keychain was like it looked like a little wolf, cartoon wolf head, and it was like a pencil sharpener kind of thing, plastic. And I was like, "What is that?" She's like, "Well, that's Wolfie." I'm like, "What's Wolfie?" She goes, "Oh, it's something my friends gave me making fun of me because I told them I saw something in the corn one night driving home." I'm like, "What happened?" So she said she was coming home from work late at night, like 1 a.m. from a restaurant on a backcountry road in Indiana. Nothing but corn on each side. And she said, I was going, maybe 40 miles an hour. My headlights hit something, some eye shine on the left side of the road. She said, I slowed down and this thing's hands moved the corn to the side and stuck its head out and looked at me. She goes, it looked like a wolf. And she goes, and then I take off. And as I take off, it just lets the corn go and it just is gone. I'm like, oh,
Wow.
okay, Wolfie. Yeah. So that was any close experience that I would say I've had. And I haven't really talked too much about it on our show, but
yeah, that's gonna be kind of a creepy thing, especially when you say hand and not paw, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And cornfields seem to be a popular area for these creatures.
Yeah,
I mean, to hide.
Yep, anything can hide in corn,
Mm-hmm.
Well, like here in Texas, I was telling you about between San Antonio and Austin. It's called the Hill Country, and it's not very wooded at all. But because it's the Hill Country, man, there's a lot of ravines and stuff can move around there. You would never know, and that's why I think it's a pretty good hiding spot for these creatures. And not only that, but we're not going to be able to catch up to it if we saw one. There's no way we can traverse that kind of terrain.
Right.
It's very rocky, like I said, very hilly, and some of this stuff is very steep. It's not mountainous, but it's hilly as hell. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm not going to be running up and down the hill any faster than I
Yeah,
have.
we're not built for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're in a prime area, or somewhat a prime area where there's been sightings and there's cornfields around, I encourage people to go out and walk the rows, look for footprints of any kind, non-human, so to speak.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because they're using them.
But be careful while you're doing it. Be aware of your surroundings, like we always say.
Yeah.
Even though I probably don't always listen to my own advice.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
You just don't know what's out there. And I don't know that a handgun these days is going to take care of anything, unfortunately. I mean, people need to be carrying something bigger than that. But if you've got one, at least have that on you. You never know, even if you run into a mountain lion or something like that, you've got something, or I guess a big can of pepper spray.
Bear spray.
Bear spray.
Pepper spray is probably actually a pretty good idea. I don't know if you guys have a bad hog population up there, but down here in Texas, the population of hogs is pretty terrible.
No.
And I've known
we're
people
just
who had a 45.
Up here, it's deer. We're overrun with deer up here.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Crazy.
I know someone who had a 45, and he unloaded this thing in a hog before he stopped it. Yeah. So hogs are tough, man.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah. And I've even heard of people who had 9mm and shoot them in the head, the bullet just bounced off their skull.
Yeah.
I think maybe pepper spray stop it.
You don't realize how tough some of these animals are. They underestimate.
Yeah.
No, yeah, Brian's right. We only have deer, a ton of deer. So apparently, there's not enough Bigfoot around here to kill them off, or Dogman. So.
Yeah.
No. Maybe there should be.
Yeah. You would think that I don't know, unless they don't eat as much as people think they do. Then, yeah. I mean, lions don't eat every day.
Right.
So, Joe, question for you, if you don't mind. What got you into doing your podcast and what you're doing here?
Well, Well, like I said, since I was a kid, I've always been interested. But what actually got my interest peaked when I was a kid was I had a neighbor, and he lived across the street from us, and he worked with my dad. And so this is like in the early '80s, and he would tell us these stories of ghosts, aliens, and Bigfoot. Where this man get all these stories, I'll never know. Um, I wish I could have asked him. He passed away several years ago. Uh, I grew up with his kids, of course, and we still keep in touch. Uh, I don't know where he got. He had so many stories, and if he was making them up, that's very very possible. But he told them so well, and he would scare the hell out of me and my brother. And we would like run home across the street at at the end of the night because he had so many great stories. So that's what actually piqued my interest. And anytime something would come on, like in search of, I was always watching that. And like I said, during the time I was in elementary and even middle school, and I even bought books when I was in high school, and people, were like, "Man, what the hell are you doing?" I was like one of the cool kids, right? But here I was reading Bigfoot books or whatever I could get my hands on. And then after high school, went to college, got married, had some kids, and that kind of stuff got put on the back burner. But then all the paranormal shows and Bigfoot shows started coming out, and the internet was became more and more of what it is today. And um, I just started looking and investigating and researching online, investigating online, and uh, started going out in 2012 and using my wife and kids, my ex-wife and kids as bait, and that was it, man. I was hooked, and I've been going out ever since, and then I met Will Jevning. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Will Jevning, and
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, me and him are really cool now, and so he's helped me out a lot in this, and so yeah, that's what I've been doing, and I've managed to meet a lot of great people and meet a lot of good witnesses here in Texas, and discover some really really cool areas in the San Houston forest where people have had actual encounters, and uh, use those as
Yeah,
my
we
primary research spots.
yeah, we've had a lot of not a lot, but we've had a few stories from Northeast Texas on the show.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, probably like around I guess maybe Caddo Mills and Boynton Springs area, maybe closer to Arkansas.
Yeah, closer to Arkansas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eastern Texas. There's a lot of stuff going on down there.
Yeah, so where I'm at, like I said, I'm in Houston, and what's technically East Texas is like an hour east of Houston. So yeah, we actually go out there too. We found some pretty good stuff, man. We found some pretty good prints, uh, some massive tree breaks that are like 10, 12 feet in the air, and we got some branches that we found that were also 10, 12 feet in the air that were not just snapped but twisted, like someone's wringing out a dish rag. And so that was like, it was just so weird to find stuff like that when no other tree is damaged. Uh, this was last year in the summer, and we didn't have any hurricanes, last year here in Houston, which is, living on the Gulf Coast is,
Yeah, that's
well,
odd.
yeah. So, uh, and that particular tree was hanging over a road that I've got a Chevy Colorado, and so it's a smaller truck, and you couldn't get an 18 wheeler down this road. You could barely get my truck down this road. Uh, I couldn't turn around if I wanted to. I had to go all the way to the end, which is about 3 miles to the end. There's a little circle where you can turn your truck around then. But where that spot was at, people were like, that's probably from an 18 wheeler hitting it with a rig. I'm like, no, 18 wheelers not fitting down this road. And if it could, it would hit every other tree on the way in, you know. So yeah, that was
Wow.
that was that was one of our cooler finds. And this was an area that uh, my friend Walter had his encounter.
What happened to him?
Um, he was he was out. He actually belongs to a paranormal group, and one of his buddies was like, "Hey, let's go out to the Sam Houston and let's go look for Bigfoot." And he was like, "Yeah, okay, we'll go." And he didn't think nothing of it. He was basically almost like, "Well, I'm just gonna go out and hike at night and kill some time." And they went to this area, and it was a dead end road. It was about that whole road is maybe the total from the main road is about 4 miles deep into the Sam Houston, and just a long dirt road, and there's nothing out there. It's a lumber company owns all that area, and they went down to the dead end. They got off, and he said as soon as they got off their trucks that night, it was like maybe midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. He said as soon as they got off, they started hearing howls and screams, and stuff was getting thrown at them. And um, he's a former military guy, so he had his pistol on him. He was like, somebody's out here throwing shit at us, and I'm gonna find out who it is. And he had that kind of attitude. And there's a creek right there, and he walks out to the creek and he sees something behind a tree, and he's like, "What the hell is that?" He's like, "Hey, you better come out from behind that tree." And it steps out, and it's like 9.5 feet tall. And yeah, so we know it's 9.5 feet tall because he told me that there was a white spot on the tree that his head was at, and it's just like a fungus that grows on the trees. And so we measured at that spot, and it was 9.5 feet tall.
Wow.
So that was a big boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big one.
And,
Crazy.
we've actually found some really, really good tracks out there too. Um, the last time they went, we went out with our friend Brandon. And we went all up. Well, they went all up and down that creek. I went with them that day, but I got sick and I had to come back home. And I forgot to leave them my casting material. And they found about 10 tracks from like 19 inches all the way down to like 8 inches.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did they cast them?
No, I had the casting material with me, and when I
Oh,
left,
okay.
I took it with me.
Bummer.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Hopefully they got pictures then.
yeah. We got some pretty. Yeah, they took some pretty good pictures. Yeah.
Like to see those.
That's become one of our favorite areas.
What's the name of the forest again?
Sam Houston National
Sam
Forest.
Houston? Yeah, okay. I've seen that on the map before or read about it. But yeah.
Yeah, we've heard about that one.
I've talked to hunters who have told me they'll never go hunting again. You know, this one hunter I was talking to like 2 years ago. Uh, he was in an area where it's very it's a well-known area. I'll say it's called Stubblefield. Every Bigfoot researcher knows that area if you ever went to Sam Houston Forest. And he was walking in, but he was taking the trail in, and as he's walking in, he heard footsteps, and he figured it was another hunter because it was bipedal footsteps. He said, but the whole way in, it kept pacing him, and that the brush was just too tall for him to see. Give you an idea of the same as the forest. The brush is like extremely thick there. I mean, it's thick. You could literally put a T-Rex, and nobody would ever see it. It's crazy thick. Even in the fall and the winter time, it's even though it's all brown, it's still very thick. And he said he could hear it walking. And there's an area where it's got a big bridge. There's a big gully that runs through there. When you got there, that's where the clearing starts. And when it got to the edge of the brush and stepped out, and he saw it, and he said it was about maybe 6 feet tall. It wasn't very tall, so it must have been a kind of a younger one. I don't know if it was a juvenile necessarily, but still a younger one. And he said it looked like it wasn't happy he was there, and he turned around and walked his ass back out. And that was about a 2 mile walk out, and he said it was the longest walk he's ever had. And he told me that story, and he told me I'll never tell anybody the story again. He goes, but I'm done hunting. And man, I sent this guy so many emails after that, and he never responded to me. He never responded to me. He told me, I'm telling you this story one time, and that was it. That was it. But he said that the
Wow.
one he saw, it looked in the face more of the chimpanzee looking look that it had on its face or style, whatever
hmm
you want to call that one. I guess maybe closer to I don't know what type they are, but that was the one that he said he saw. And yeah,
You're
so
saying it looked more like a monkey or a gorilla than it did a
right.
man?
Yeah, yeah. He said that it just had a look on his face that it wasn't happy that he was out there. And
Yeah,
Sure
I
it
bet.
wasn't.
he said it scared him enough to where he said, "Man, I'll never go hunting again." Yeah.
We were
That'll
talking
do it.
before this, Joe, and you'd said you had some kind of encounter or maybe UFO sighting or something like that.
Yeah, man. So even though I had been in this field for a while, well, not for a while, but I started researching Bigfoot first. Uh, it's probably closer to 20 years now that I was out fishing in Galveston, and the gentleman that I was with, he was maybe, I don't know, 40, 50 feet to my right. And he says, "Hey, Joe, look." And he points up. He goes, "What's that?" Up to my left. And so when I turned and looked, there was this round disc, it was just a round disc, just moving so slow, 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 right above us, maybe 300 feet. And, it was a clear night and full moon. And I think a professional baseball player probably could have hit it with a baseball, really. That's how close it was. We got a good look at it. It was like gray and black underneath. There was like the little typical half ball in the middle, half that sphere underneath it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just cruising right along the shoreline because we were, on the jetties, and it was right above us. And it probably took about 5 minutes for it to get out of sight. And it made no noise. There was no lights, and it was super, super smooth. And maybe a few miles down the road from us they have a smaller airport where the smaller single engine planes come in, and you could hear them things buzzing when they would come in, even from that distance. You hear them, just humming away and buzzing away. This thing was right above us, made no noise at all. Yeah, that
Wow.
was yeah, that was probably one of the first crazy things that I had ever experienced.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be wild. I'm always keeping my eye to the sky around here.
Right? Yeah, yeah. If I go outside it for anything, I'm looking up.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yep.
and I don't know, maybe it's been about 7, 8 months now. Uh, I was at my friend Walter's house. We were out doing our Bigfoot thing, and we came back to his house because he lives very close to the Sam Houston. And when we came back to his house, we went outside, and it was maybe midnight, I guess, and I was getting ready to come home. And we looked up in the sky, and I said, "Hey, look, check that out!" And there were just two lights going at each other like this, and then they stopped, and they made circles, and then they went the opposite direction like that.
Man,
Yeah,
that'd have been wild.
yeah.
Wow.
It was just the weirdest thing, man. That was
Yeah.
pretty crazy. But even my kids, they've all three of my kids have seen UFOs too, man. My oldest seen that triangle shaped one with the three dots, the three lights in the corners, and the one red one in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, she saw that going to Raymondville, which is almost to the border. They were going down south, and she was in the back seat, and she said it was dark, and she looked up, and she thought she had her phone on. She thought she was looking at the reflection of her phone because it was on her lap. Because when I looked down, my phone was off and it was upside down. She goes, and I looked back up at it and it shot backwards. It was riding with them even with the car, and then it shot backwards. And she said that the way it
Wow.
moved reminded her of that movie Jumper. You remember that movie Jumper where that kid would like teleport?
Oh, yeah.
She said that's the way it moved. It like skipped backwards. It didn't just fly backwards, like skip. But she said that's the
Mm.
way it moved. It reminded her of that movie. And
Hmm.
yeah, she's
Yeah.
25 now. I think that happened when she was like 15. Yeah.
I've
And
probably had
Time travelers on out of the realm of possibilities.
yeah, yeah,
I've probably had several alien craft over me and didn't even realize what the hell they were. Knowing me, I don't. I'm just like so unobvious to things. Oh, well, did you guys hear
Mm-hmm.
that? Did you see what was that bright light? I don't know. Lightning, maybe. Who
Mm-hmm.
knows? I'm always looking out for them too. I mean, and aliens. It's a real thing. I think everybody's kind of trying to accept that these days.
right. I've I don't tell this to anybody, but I'm gonna tell you guys. Um, I woke up one morning, and it was maybe 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and my whole room was lit up like in this blue light, like a welder's arc. You know, my whole room. It was
Mm-hmm.
coming from outside my room. My whole room was that color blue, and there's nothing behind my house. There's an empty lot, and because they just tore down that house around that time, and I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear a car. I didn't hear an engine revving because if they had went back there, they would have gotten stuck. It was so muddy and so the ground was just so tore up because it had just tore up the house, you know. And that was one of the weirder things that had happened. Besides waking up and my room was full of smoke one morning. It was in the middle of the afternoon actually. I had a dream about a UFO and it got really foggy. And in the dream, I was riding with my brother, and the road got foggy, the sky got foggy, and then the clouds opened up, and this craft came down. And I told my brother, "Look, look! I'm telling you, they're real. You look, they're real." And then I woke up, and my whole room was smoky, like someone put a fog machine in my room. Yeah.
Wow. Weird.
Yeah, that's wild.
No fire, nothing like that, right?
No, no.
Man, maybe it was more real than you thought.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. And that was one of the crazier things that happened. That was probably 9 months ago. That's pretty recent. Um, I had I had got deep into meditation around that point, and I was, opening up my mind to a lot of stuff. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it or not, but possibility.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the paranormal on that side of things. It's
Right, yeah,
it's real.
yeah. And then when I was married, we moved to a house, and I wasn't even there a week. And I'm sitting in bed, well, I'm laying down in bed, and I feel my bed go down. And we had a boxer, and he was like 75-pound boxer. He was a big dog, and I thought it was him getting on the bed. So I kind of sat up, and I was like, "Get your ass down," because first of all, he wasn't allowed on my bed. Second, he knew not to come into the room. We just didn't let him in the room, and I was gonna get on him, and there was nobody there. And then maybe like the next day, it happened again. When I sat up in bed again, I was like, "Man, get your ass out of here," and there was nobody there. So I walked out into the kitchen, everyone was there, my 3 kids, the ex, and I'm like, "This house is haunted," and they were like, "Oh yeah, we know," and they started going off, telling me everything that had happened to them.
Oh,
You know,
nice.
yeah,
Nice
and like
of
I
them to
said,
let
at
you
this
know.
point, we weren't even there. I don't know, 10 days, and my oldest daughter's like, "Yeah, in the closet." She said she was on the phone, messing around on her phone, and it was dark, and uh, she goes, "This bright light came out of my closet, like someone took a picture." And there's not a light bulb in that closet. You know, sometimes when light bulbs go out, they'll kind of spark or whatever. There's not even a light bulb in that closet, and it just flashed. This big flash came out of her closet. Um,
Hmm.
then right after she graduated, she called me at work and she says, "Hey, Dad, I'm sitting here on the couch. I'm watching TV, and from where she could see, there's like a little hallway, but her door to her room is like right in that on the inside of the hallway, so you can see the door." She goes, "I heard my doorknob turn. I saw the door open, and it cracked open, and you can see the light coming in. It was the middle of the afternoon, and she says I could see the light, and she goes, and I could see like someone lean into the crack and lean back." She was home. She was
Man.
home alone.
Oh, jeez.
That shit gives me chills.
And then a couple of years after that, my son he graduated, and he was at the house. And he called me. I was at work. He was like, "Dad, man, something really strange happened to me." He said he saw some. He was sitting on the couch, watching TV, and out of the corner of his eye, he saw some movement. And when he looked, he said there was a figure like squatting down and reaching out with its finger, and it touched him on the arm. He said when it touched him on his arm, all his hair stood up, and then it just kind of disappeared.
Ugh.
But
Trying
I
to make
was,
some physical contact with the
right, yeah,
Give me,
I was
give
sitting
me
on I was sitting on the
Bigfoot
edge
and
of the
Dog
bed.
Man all day long, man.
I was sitting on the edge of the bed, and I was, getting ready to go to work, contemplating my life decisions, and I went in at 6 o'clock, and so it was like a little after 5 o'clock, and something like jabbed me in the ribs. You ever kind of poke somebody in the ribs? I got poked
Hmm.
right in the side of my ribs, and it was a clear poke, and I turned around and I thought maybe it was my ex, and she was crashed out, you know. And I was like, okay, maybe they were trying to tell me get my ass up and get to work.
Get your ass in gear.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, we've heard of entities touching people, hurting people, causing
Yep.
bruises and
Scratches.
whatnot. Yeah, somehow they can
Yeah.
perform a physical feat.
Yeah,
Yep. Yeah, we had a
nothing
couple
there
shows like that.
ever hurt any of us. Um, Nothing there ever seemed, like it had ill intention. Um, so like one day we were, I was, I was, I was watching TV, and my daughter came out of her room, and she looked scared, and she's like, "Dad, there's something in my room." I said, "What do you mean?" Because I'm laying in bed, and it's dark. I think I was watching football or something, and she goes, I could still see this dark figure in the corner of my room, and it went from one side to the other side. She goes, so it's in my room. So we went in there, and I know there's a bunch of uh, debate about orbs, whether they are, if they're true or not, if they're
Right.
entities or not. But I'm gonna tell you right now, we recorded, and we saw so many orbs flying around. Way too many to count. There were well over 50, 60 orbs, and these things were like going straight and just cutting corners, you know. Um, and then I told my son, because at this time I was already doing the Bigfoot thing. I told my son, me and my daughter came out into the living room. Actually, me and my two daughters came out into the living room. My son was walking out of his room, and I told him, I said, "Hey, go get my recorder and bring it to me. I'm gonna see if the battery's working. And we're gonna do like an EVP session or something, which I had never done. I just seen it on TV. And so my youngest goes with him to my room, and me and my oldest are there. We're talking, kind of going over everything. And next thing I know, my son comes at me. He's like white as a ghost. He's like, "Dad, you got to hear this. You got to hear this." And I said, "What?" He goes, "Me and Nat went into the room, my other daughter, and I said, I told you not to go in there. I told you to wait for me. And so he hits play, and you can hear him say, "Is there anybody here with us?" And you hear a voice go, "Yeah."
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Nope.
I need to send you that EVP. I still have that EVP. I need to send you guys that so you can hear it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I want to hear that.
It was crazy. Is there anybody here with us? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Man.
That kind of freaked us out. But like I said, even though we were kind of freaked out or even scared at times, I don't think whatever was there was trying to hurt us or wanted to scare us. Um, like I woke up one night and I slept on the right side of the bed, and there was a window right there, and there was enough space for me, to get up and if I had to get up in the middle of the night or whatever. Um, I woke up and there was a figure standing right there in front of the window by my feet, and then it moved towards me. And when it did, I threw a kick at it. Um, but that was my reaction. I don't think when I look back and I replay it, I don't think whatever it was trying to scare me. But it was a woman. I could see the woman outlined, and I could see that it had a dress on. But
Hmm.
You
that was
ever
me scared.
you ever look into the history of the house? You ever look into any
Well,
of
we
that?
know the history of the house. There was only one owner of that house, the man and the woman. They bought that house right after World War II, and they lived there until their 90s. And then that house stayed empty for at least 5 years after they passed. And you know, just we knew them so good, their kids sold us the house. So um, you know,
Hmm.
they were the only owners of that house.
Did they die in the house?
No, 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 they didn't. They both died in the hospital. But one of the
Well,
other crazy
sometimes their
things,
energies get attached to
yeah,
certain things.
yeah, one of the other crazy things that happened was my cousin was doing some repairs on a house. He was going to remodel like the hallway in the main restroom, the master bath. So he came over the night before they were going to start. It was a bunch of my cousins, Mexican people. We all do construction, stuff like that.
Yeah.
All our family does that stuff, right? So he
Hey,
came
you
over
that
with
not
my
us.
other cousins, and they were going to do, the demo in the morning. And he was kind of going over the game plan. And he kept looking down at his arm and looking at my other cousin who was standing, quite away from him, 6, 7 feet away from him. And he would talk, and he would look down at his arm again, and he would look over at my cousin. He goes, "Dude, what are you doing to me?" And my other cousin was like, "I'm not doing anything to you. He goes, dude, somebody's grabbing my arm, you know? So he walks across the kitchen and he grabs my arm and he squeezes my arm really tight. And he goes, this is what it feels like, you know? And so we were like, okay, well, this is what's going on. And we told him about the house, all the stories that we had. The next morning he comes in and he's like, hey, come here, cuz I want to show you something. And I'm like, what's up? So he shows me his arm. It's his forearm. He's got these 4 finger bruises on his arm. Yeah. Clear,
Damn.
I mean, like fingers. And I think it was because they were going to do the construction on the house. Like,
Yeah.
well, not construction,
Really?
but remodeling, yeah.
Remodel. Mm-hmm.
You don't think too much about stuff like that, you know. You don't think too much about it, but honestly, if you moved into a house and you're happy to be there, it's a new home and everything's great, and then you're starting to have stuff like that go on and you can't stop it, you know, you're like, well, gosh, it's not like I can just move out of here, you know, or I just moved in here. It's just crazy to, you know, people don't think really what people go through with these things and how serious it can be. Again, I don't think they're hurting people too much, but obviously they do, you know, somewhat.
Some do. Some do.
Have you guys had any
Amityville?
paranormal experiences yourselves?
Nothing to speak of, no.
Yeah, I mean, I've got maybe some kind of ghost going on in my
Todd
house. I
lives
don't
with a
know.
ghost, yeah.
I don't know. The room that I'm in, there were same scenario. These people built this house that I'm in and lived in it until the lady passed away in the hospital, I was told, and then he sold it to us. But the room that I do this in, our podcast in too, is was a loft room above the garage, and it was like an old. There was sewing stuff in here, like she used it as a sewing room, so to speak. And so I think I kind of took her off because I converted it into more of a, you know, podcast room with a little bar and whatnot. Anyway, long story short, I just see flashes go by, black things, kind of images kind of swoosh by in the other room. I'd see kind of weird black shapes, kind of like it came up the top of the step and then stopped and was gone. So I actually moved the way I face in this room, so I wasn't facing out the hallway into the room, so I wouldn't see those things going on. I'm like, if something's gonna show itself, just gotta walk in the room here. But just weird stuff, you know. We hear noises. There's a weird vibe you get in a certain area in the hallway downstairs in the one you know, by the garage in the back. Just when it's dark, you just feel like there's something at the end of the hall just staring at you. Just creepy stuff. Your hair always stands up, stuff like that. So, you know.
Sounds like it's haunted to me.
So, since we're on this subject, I'll tell you guys another crazy story. But I want to get your opinion first. What do you think happens after we die?
Oh man, that's $1 million question, isn't it?
Right. Yeah. I don't know. There's a right answer. Not. I guess some people, depending on your religion, they would say so. But do you
Right.
think we go somewhere? Do you think we have the
I
ability
think
to come back?
I think we're like energy. I think we just continue to go on and on because you can't destroy energy. I mean, energy is once it's there, it's there. So
What do you think, Todd?
You know, that's a tough question. Obviously, I don't even want to really attempt to answer because nobody knows.
Right.
You know, if you're going to ask my opinion, I'm going to say, well, I hope, you know, it's even better than it is here. I hope this is a test on Earth to show people how to respect, you know, what to respect when they have something better, so to speak. Like if there's a heaven, you know, you're going to appreciate it a lot more because you were on the earth and walking in a body, so to speak, and you went through the turmoils and tribulations of a life on earth. I don't know. I'm not a Christian man. I don't necessarily believe in heaven or hell or anything like that. But I'm not an atheist either. There's something that got us here. What it is, I don't know. Maybe it's aliens. I'd like to think that when you die, yeah, you know, your energy's somewhere, it goes somewhere, it becomes another form, or it stays in energy that can be universally non-physical, but is aware and is enjoying itself That would be what I would.
I want to be the enjoying myself energy.
You know what I mean? Yeah. That's all I can really say. Who really knows? Not till
Yeah.
we go, you know.
And part of my way of enjoying it will be to scare the hell out of people. But
Oh yeah, I'm gonna haunt the hell out of people.
yeah, especially my friends.
I have a list.
I have a list. Yeah. So back in April, it was my mom's birthday. She turned 72, and we had a party for her. It was mainly like the immediate family, uh, kids, grandkids. Uh, my dad, he passed away 10 years ago, so his twin brother was there with my aunt. And his one of his daughters was there, so there was maybe 20 of us there in the house. And so that was on a Sunday. Everyone was going to my dad's graveyard or his burial site on Tuesday, which would have been 10 years for his anniversary of his death. Um, I don't go to cemeteries because I don't think it's anything. I just think that's just where we put our bodies. I don't think we're there. So, and I've always felt like my dad was always around me, which I've got a couple of stories about that. So I'm like, I, I just don't do that. So, um, but they do whatever. That's fine. Um, so we had the party on that Sunday. On that Tuesday, they were going to go, but it rained really bad. So they canceled it because they said it would just be too muddy to go out there. So my brother called me that evening. He goes, "Hey, we were supposed to go out there to the cemetery, but we didn't go." He says, "But I wanted to tell you about something that happened Sunday." I said, "Okay." He goes, "Maddie, which is our niece, my sister's daughter." He goes, "Maddie came up to me at the party and said, 'Hey, I keep hearing Grandpa talking to me.' And he said that he was glad that my mom was having a party, that he was happy that we threw her the party, and that she deserved it. But he didn't tell me anything, until that Tuesday, because that Tuesday when my uncle called my brother and was like, 'Hey, let's just postpone it. We'll go some other day.' He says, 'But I got something to tell you. Your Aunt Patty heard your dad's voice at the party Sunday, and that he told her that he was glad she was having a party and that she deserved it, and that when her time comes, that he would be waiting for her.' So two different people heard my dad's voice at the party, and neither one of them knew that the other one had heard it.
Wow.
Yeah. So I just thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
Yeah, just want to
got
kind of get your
goosebumps
guys'
again.
thoughts. Yeah. So what are your guys' thoughts on something like that?
I think it's possible. I mean, I've heard of other people having those kind of encounters before.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just
I was watching a show the other day, or about a month ago, about people who had died, come back to life. And they talk about what happened when they were dead for a minute, 10 minutes, whatever it was. And they say they saw, most of them they saw relatives that had passed on,
Right.
maybe in their younger forms, or they looked beautiful, elegant, whatever, perfect. What if I kept, and I'm just weird because I am, I think this kind of stuff. What if there was this relative that you didn't want to see, but they were already there waiting on you, like, oh, that's my Uncle Joe. I mean, no offense, Joe, to use that name, but you know what I'm saying? I didn't really like that guy, but here he is. Come on, we missed you. It's like, okay, or is it just people that specifically were really close to you that you care about it? Who knows how it goes,
yeah.
but I've heard that a lot. What it is, what it means, I don't know.
Well, maybe when you die, you're at peace with everything, and you don't mind seeing Uncle Joe.
Maybe not.
Maybe.
Yeah. But yeah, that's one of my coworkers. He's died twice in his life. He's actually pretty young. He's like 46, 47. He's got a defibrillator in his heart. He's had it since he was 18, and he's actually died twice.
Hmm.
And both times he's seen, the other side.
What'd he say?
Um, he saw Jesus, that when he was walking with him, and I need to really get clarification, but I know he was walking down like a road or a path with him, but on the right side there were people in cages like reaching out for him. He said they were all like dirty and just looked like they were in bad shape, you know, and they were like yelling out for him, and he didn't know any of the people in these cages, you know, but they were reaching out for him through the cages, and he said him and Jesus were just walking, talking like nothing, you know.
Purgatory.
Yeah, yeah, maybe. Um,
Is he a religious person or?
he is a religious person, but he's not necessarily like an extreme religious person, you know. I mean, you know, he goes to church, you know, but he'll be the first one to tell you there's so many wrong things with what they teach, you know, and
Hmm.
that he doesn't necessarily believe in, but you know, he believes in God. I'll just say that, you know, and so he definitely believes in God, but um, he doesn't necessarily believe in everything that they preach or that they try to teach or what they have taught.
Right.
But yeah, yeah. So
Going back to what I would hope to happen when I die is I don't care about the people that I might see, but every dog that I've ever owned, I want to be there waiting for me, jumping on me, excited to see me. That would be perfect for me. That would be my
That'll be your
ultimate.
heaven.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
yeah, you're right about that. I think
That
all
would do it
dogs
for
go to
me.
heaven anyway, right? Yeah,
I hope so. You know, I hope so.
yeah. Yeah, my boxer Atlas, he passed away in 2019, and I hope I see him again.
Yeah, I had a boxer that passed away too. Close to that. I think it was close to that year.
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
want to say 18, but yeah. Yeah. I love dogs. Love
yeah,
them.
yeah, me
Not
too.
dog men, dogs.
Yeah. Um, yeah, one other crazy story regarding my dad. So when I moved to San Antonio, um, we lived in a townhouse, me and my daughter, and I was upstairs and we were doing laundry, and I knew she was in the garage, so I'm calling for her. So I was gonna throw some clothes down to her, right? And you know, I'm lazy. I don't want to walk down the stairs. And so I'm calling her, and then I say, "Hey, I got some clothes. Throw this in the wash." You know, so when I throw it down, there's a light switch that was right next to me, and it flicks on. You know, of course, the light comes on in the hallway. And for whatever reason, I just said, "Oh man, that's my dad. That's my dad." You know, and that happened a couple of times. I mean, the light switch would literally just flick on or off. You know, and you would hear it, see it. Well, maybe not see it, but you would hear it and see the light come on. You know, or turn off. So when I came back to Houston, I was in my mom's kitchen, and the kitchen's got like a little opening where there's like a bar, and my mom was standing on the bar, well, not on the bar, but leaning on the bar. We were talking, and I was telling her about that. I said, "Yeah, I said I think Dad followed me to San Antonio, you know." I said because every now and then the light switch would flick on, and I told her about the first time it happened when I was throwing the clothes down to my daughter, and I said, "Yeah, and the light switch just flicked on, just like nothing." And as soon as I said that, the light switch in the kitchen flicked on. So we both saw that and heard it, and we were like, "Holy shit," you know. I said, "Yeah, I'll tell you, that's
wow.
Dad, man. That's Dad." And
Well, letting you know he's still around.
yeah, and so I told that story to my uncle, my dad's twin brother, and my mom and dad, they had split up, but they still loved each other. They're crazy, right? But so my dad was living with my uncle in my grandpa's old house, and after my uncle passed away, my uncle Joe, which is who I'm named after, after he passed away, my dad would say the same thing, and my uncle didn't tell me this until maybe, man, 3 4 weeks ago. He called me and told me about it. Um, that the light switch would come on, or the TV would come on, or he would hear like a knock on the door. My dad would hear a knock on the door. He would go to the door and just open up the front door and say, "Come in, Joe," you know, because he said that's just that's Joe, you know. And
So you
he
do have an Uncle Joe. Wow.
did have an Uncle
Did you
Joe.
like him? Is he cool? You hope to see
Oh
him
man,
in the afterlife, or?
he was my crazy Uncle Joe, but he was so funny. He was crazy. I can tell you stories about him. But my dad moved to Pearland, which is south of Houston, and uh, he the doorbell would ring, and the doorbell wasn't even connected. But he would open the door and say, "Come in, Joe," you know, and he'd close it.
Wow.
You would always say that
That's
was home.
wild.
Yeah,
That would creep me out.
yeah,
Having something like that, then you open the door and there's nobody there. That would creep me out.
Especially on a doorbell that's not even hooked up.
yeah. Yeah. The bell was not even hooked up.
Yeah.
It was there, just wasn't hooked up. Yeah,
Right.
it's pretty fun. Pretty crazy. I guess I've been lucky to have a lot of crazy stuff happen around me here.
Yeah, you have.
Lucky.
Yeah.
Depends on how you look at it, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, nothing bad, nothing, you know, scary that was intently trying to scare me.
Right.
Yeah. Even if I did get scared, but yeah, I've
Yeah.
been,
And that way you are lucky.
and not just me, but people around me.
Right.
What's your thoughts on all these cryptids and dogmen and Bigfoot running around? And aliens? What do you think? What do you
Well,
think's going on out there?
I believe that aliens are not of this earth. I believe they're from other planets, galaxies, or what have you. I believe they've got technology to travel here. I don't think it's too far fetched to think that they can do it. You know, um, some people just say, no, they can't do it, and there's no way they're possible. But, I think they can. Um, and cryptids, I believe most cryptids are flesh and blood, creatures of this earth. How they were, how they came to be, I'm not sure. Maybe they're just natural creatures of this earth, and for whatever reason, they're not recognized or acknowledged. Um, but I also do believe that there are maybe creatures out there that are supernatural or elementals, whatever you want to call them, that are on this planet. I believe in that kind of stuff too, and I used to never think about stuff like that as far as elementals, the supernaturals, and other entities maybe having paranormal, you know, um, characteristics, if you want to call it that. But over the last couple of years, I've done a lot of reading and researching and opened my mind to other witness testimony and experiences, and there are people that witness some crazy shit out in the woods, and you can't just say, well, they're crazy. You know,
Right.
you can't
Yeah.
just say it. I think if you do, you're doing a disservice to the whole genre, and to yourself.
Yep.
So I think you have to listen to those people, and you know, and the reason why I think most cryptids are flesh and blood is just based on what I've heard, not just from other podcasts, but from people that I've talked to. And there's only been like a handful of people who I've personally talked to who have said they've seen them, disappear, cloak, or vanish, or the mind speak. Uh, but I think there's enough people out there who've experienced that you got to, at least take that part, somewhat serious. And uh, not everyone can be um, imagining it, because I think sometimes when people get
Right.
scared, your imagination can get the best of you. If you don't know what you're looking at, um, especially the first time you see one of these creatures, misidentification comes into play. Your adrenaline's pumping. Uh, but I think there's something to it. Also, like I said, I think there are some entities out there that have these abilities,
Sure.
and that says a lot coming from me because, like I said, a few years ago, I probably would never have thought about it like that.
Yeah, well, people. The thing about, like you said, misidentification. People know what a bear look like. People know what a mountain look like. People know what a moose looks like. They see that stuff. They automatically say, "Boom, bear." Boom, mountain lion. Boom. They say Bigfoot. They can't register it. They can't. They can't categorize it. And then they're like, so they're trying to say, well, it's like this. But if they're having to do that, it's definitely not a bear. Definitely not a mountain lion. Or they would know immediately that's what it was, even if it was a
Right.
deformed one.
Right.
You know. Even if you saw a mountain lion with two heads, you would still say that's a mountain lion with two heads.
Or a bear with mange or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. So I mean, and on that, as many people as we've talked to, as you've talked to, as other podcasts and other interviewers have talked to, all these people from different areas of the United States and the world are all saying the same thing. What they're seeing, they're describing the same things, the smells, etc. There's no way these people are making this all up together to form the world's biggest hoax. I mean, come on. And if any of them are telling, if any of them are telling the truth of those thousands of people, if one of them is not lying, then it's got to be real, right? So that's kind of our thought on the whole thing. I think,
Right.
Yeah, exactly. I think the same thing that the same thing with footprints, right? They can all be fake. They can all be hoaxed. They can all be, misidentified.
Exactly.
If one of those footprints are real, then this creature's real.
You got it. Yep. 99% of those could be fake, but the ones that you find way out in the middle of nowhere or around a dumpster, surprisingly close to a town with a restaurant, that could be the one that has the dermal ridges in it. That really is a real thing.
Yeah, you just never know.
What are your guys' thoughts on the aliens then?
I think they're real. I think, I definitely think we're not alone here in this universe.
You think we are being visited from time to time, or?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I recently was looking on something. Have you guys heard of Valiant Thor?
Yes.
Yeah, I was listening to some stuff about
Yeah,
him.
that is an interesting story.
Very interesting.
Yeah, if anybody out there is interested in that one, look it up because that's a good one.
I haven't heard of it. What is it?
It's an alien.
Yeah, basically an alien that looked amazingly like a human. He landed like 20 minutes outside of Washington, was it? I forgot what kind of field it was, and
yeah, it wasn't too far outside of Washington. Yeah.
like in the 50s, and he stayed here till the 67, I believe, and he said he was from Venus. He's even got a book on Amazon.
Yeah, he was sent here by the Galactic Council for because I can't remember what he called it.
But he's got a book on Amazon.
Yeah. and okay, so whether or not his story is true,
the rainforest, not the delivery service.
There are tons of people that verify that he's real.
I thought you meant he was selling a book on Amazon Prime or something. I'm sorry. See.
Valiant Thor. Yes, I've seen that. That's been on. The first time I saw it was on Ancient Aliens.
Right.
They were talking about him.
Yeah. People verify his existence. There are a lot of people that verify this guy was a real guy. And apparently he lived in the Pentagon, for years and years before his mission was over, and went back to Venus, where he says they lived underground.
Look into it. Check it out. It's interesting. It's an interesting story.
I will. My whole thought on the alien thing, I've stretched it from one end to the other completely. From them coming from a different world, a different planet, to them actually living inside the Earth, and we're their project out here on the outer shell, and they're coming from underground, and that's where these creatures are coming from. Maybe they created us and put us here. Maybe they create everything that comes out of here. Who knows? Could
be a bunch.
You got. I mean, I've tried to think the whole spectrum. I'm not going to say one's definite, but
from grays to reptilians, you got the whole thing.
Yeah, just the things that people are seeing. You try to put it all together and say, what is this? How has it happened? But
are they interdimensional?
They live on the other side of the ice wall, guys.
Yeah. On the flat Earth. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, the thing that pops in my mind is
one of my favorite theories: the flat Earth.
Yeah, the flat Earth is. How do religions in general out there that have their set beliefs in their publications written down, what do they think about aliens now that supposedly that they've been classified as real, maybe, or they could be out there? Does that screw them up? Do they have a way to fit that in? Just like Bigfoot, how does Bigfoot fall into play with that kind of stuff? So looking at all this, you just don't know. You just don't know what to think about these things. So
right,
just let stuff happen, I guess.
Eventually, we'll all find out sooner or later.
Yeah, one way or the other. We'll
Yep.
all-
Yeah, I hope we do. I hope so.
Well, cool, guys. It's already been a little over an hour, man.
Wow, time flies, huh?
Man, yeah, we could talk. We could probably do another show, man, and
Probably could.
that's it. We could talk about anything. We'll talk about cheeseburgers.
Wow, one of my favorite foods.
Yeah. Get you a good old smash burger nowadays, you know.
Whataburger. Whataburger.
Those are pretty popular around here, the smash burger thing.
Yeah, we don't have a Whataburger up here.
Oh yeah, I've never had Whataburger. Do you eat Whataburger, Joe?
Yes.
It was big in Texas.
Yeah.
What about In-N-Out Burger? Do you have that?
Yeah, but they don't.
You're not a fan?
They're good. I'm not gonna lie, they're good, but they're not Whataburger good.
Really?
Yeah.
I
That's
gotta
what I've
have a
heard.
Whataburger now for sure.
I know.
Jeez.
You gotta get down to Texas.
I mean, I'll tear up some In-N-Out Burger, but Whataburger sounds like it's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you have a
patty melt.
Buc-ee's?
Buc-ee's, yeah, Buc-ee's, HEB.
What? HEB? What's that?
It's a
Yeah, I want
grocery
to go to
store
one of
chain.
those too.
Is that cool? What's that?
It's just the coolest grocery store ever.
Really?
Yeah. So like I've got two near my house, and they actually have parking garages, and
At a grocery store.
yeah,
No
they have parking
kidding.
garages. And so like when you pull into the garage, above each spot there's a little LED light. So if you're pulling in, you can see if you see a green light, it's an empty spot. If you see a red light, somebody's parked there.
Damn.
So you don't have to spend your time driving around the whole park looking for a
That's
parking
it. I'm moving to Texas.
Yeah, you see a green light, you head right towards it.
I tell you what, I've been wanting to go to a Buc-ee's now forever. I've been on this
Yeah, I know,
Buc-ee's
me
kick,
too.
man.
Yeah, we went there. Me and my girlfriend went there maybe a month ago. We just to go, just to go and spend $100, for shit we didn't need.
Oh yeah, I'd buy souvenirs and all kinds of
Oh,
little.
yeah.
Well,
Oh,
they
yeah.
had great food there, man. The food is
Do they?
great. Yeah, yeah. The turkey barbecue sandwich is great.
Oh man.
Yeah,
I'm talking. We gotta get off food. I'm
they
hungry.
got breakfast.
Yeah, I know they do. I didn't eat yet.
Tacos there. They sell fudge and homemade potato chips. Those are awesome.
No
Homemade
kidding.
pie, yeah.
We need a Buc-ee's up here. If anybody from Buc-ee's is listening, you need to put one up here in Indiana.
Yeah, at least around Indy or something we can reach out to and get to. The closest
Right.
one is like an hour south of Lexington to us.
Yeah. And I know the ones down here they have like I don't know, 80 pumps. Gas stations.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I've heard it's
Mhm.
ridiculous.
Wow,
And
cool.
so what I didn't know was that okay, so they can sell gas cheaper than anybody else, but like in some states you're not allowed to do that because that's like monopolizing. So they've moved I think to Mississippi and they were sued for doing that because
Really?
Yeah.
You should be able to sell gas whatever price you want to sell gas at. It's your
Yeah,
gas station.
yeah. As long as you got the state sales tax in there, who cares?
If you want to break even on gas and make all your money selling stuff in the store, then so be it.
That just goes to show you how much the other gas stations are gouging us on the price of gas.
Mhm.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Buc-ee's, they sell barbecue pits, floaties that going to the river is big here in Texas. Floating down the river, so it's all the floats and ice chests and bathing suits and
Wow.
towels and home decor. It's crazy, man. Crazy.
God, it sounds like a Fred Meyer.
Cast iron skillets.
Bigger.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, pretty cool store, man.
Well, Brian, we're gonna have to make a trip to Texas
We're
and
gonna have to
check out a Buc-ee's and
just to go to Buc-ee's and HEB.
HEB.
And Whataburger.
And
Whataburger.
Whataburger. Okay, now you're getting serious because there's a lot of reasons to come. Got Eastern Texas Bigfoot going on action. Got Whataburger.
And Joe's gonna take us on a Bigfoot.
Joe can take us on a Bigfoot expedition. We might seriously contemplate doing this.
Yeah. Good guy.
And a Buc-ee's.
Not
And a
Buc-ee's.
Buc-ee's? Are you kidding me?
It's not that.
Well,
bad,
isn't where that casino is? No, that was Oklahoma.
That was
Never mind.
Oklahoma. Yeah.
Not far away though.
No, not far at all.
Well, cool beans, guys. Y'all making me hungry talking about food.
I know. I'm starving over here.
Cool, man. You guys have anything to say? Any information, contact information, YouTube channel, podcast channel?
Yeah. Actually, you can check out our website is www.cryptidcreatures.net. YouTube channel if you want to check that out. And obviously Instagram and all those. Instagram is cryptid_creatures, I think.
Yeah, and YouTube, just search Cryptid Creatures podcast, and we'll pop up.
Yeah,
on
you
there
just
too.
type in Cryptid Creatures, you'll find us.
We got some videos. We got, of course, our regular podcast, audio podcast, and our website. That just came out, so definitely check that out. We're on Facebook. We have a Facebook group too. If you guys want to look us up there, we're about everywhere. We're on TikTok, I believe, aren't we, Brian? Too.
We are.
Just search
We're
Cryptid
everywhere.
Creatures, and we should pop up for you.
And we're going to be at CryptidCon in November, so
Where's that at?
in Lexington, Kentucky, the 19th and 20th.
Okay.
Just north of a Buc-ee's, so we might sneak down there.
That's right. We might get to a Buc-ee's yet.
We could do a little video in there. Hey guys, it's us from Cryptid Creatures here at the Buc-ee's.
That's right. We might.
Sounds good, guys. Well, guys, it was great having you on, man. You guys, a lot of fun.
Thanks for inviting us, man. This
It was a
fun.
good time. Yep. It's our first time being interviewed and hanging out like this, so we enjoyed it.
First time on this side of the mic.
Yep.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was fun.
Okay.
Yep.
Good talking with you
man.
too.
We appreciate it, Joe.
Yeah, we do.
Hey, guys, you guys have anything you want me to share, man? Tag me in it or post it on my Beyond the Woodline page on Facebook. You guys are welcome to do that.
Cool.
All right, thanks. Yeah, same to you.
Yeah. Yep. Same to you. Just let us know or get on there.
Guys
So.
in the chat,
Yep.
thanks a lot for participating. I appreciate it.
Yep.
And everyone else, we'll see you next week. And have a great night.
See you, everybody.
See ya.
Guys.